I mean, we should mind what we tell them. Even when they conspire to kill us, we should be friends with them. Me, I refuse to be friends with them. Good day. Good day, everyone. I consider it a great privilege to be given opportunity. Those of us on the other side of the divide to be given opportunity to speak at an event like this. Sometimes I'm encouraged when I read about people like Kwame Nkrumah, who we are seeing like jolly good fellows that we are drinking coffee and mobilizing and speaking. Suddenly he came back from abroad. Gradually he became a known fellow in Ghana and led politically. I remember Nelson Mandela, who stayed in prison for 24 years, but I won't stay. And then coming out overnight, became a leader. What others were struggling to get, Nelson Mandela came and became in charge of all and could be a trillionaire overnight because he labored for the people. That is things that encourage me. I remember Nnamdi Azikiwe reading his biography one night after he couldn't pay his bills, couldn't eat for about 3 weeks or 2 weeks. He packed his things in a bag and went to train, stay on the rail and said train should crush him. A morning crier, a Christian who went to preach early in the morning, saw him from afar. The train was approaching and the man pushed him away. That was how he survived. And he explained his problems. The man took him to where he started washing plates to feed. And then from there, he advanced in his studies. We don't listen to those ones. They don't tell us those ones. The ones they tell us is those who made it overnight. And those who stole government money, who were paupers and got into politics overnight, they became rich. We celebrate them. And at the end of the day, they leave the government in a way that citizens cry and they are happy, only them and their families. And we clap for them. Zig said, the African man is created to stand erect to get his inalienable rights and not to crawl like a reptile. Some of us have to decide not to crawl like reptiles to get our rights in this country, no matter what. So my paper is a little shift from what Mr. Mike has said. But it's not to destroy anything, it's to put us on the right path. Let me ask, how many lawyers are here? Please, how many lawyers are here? Okay, I think I'm in the right place. Because some of the things we go through, lawyers are supposed to save Nigerians. But I don't know whether they are doing that today. A few months ago, we had a program on professionals and good governance. And I was asking, are the present day lawyers sustaining democracy or destroying democracy? Ulisaba Koba, Femi Falana, Ganifa, they were lawyers that struggled for democracy in Nigeria. Today, lawyers struggle to destroy democracy by the kind of things they take to the courts. And Nigerians are crying. The same democracy lawyers are destroying them. That just for a start. It's not my topic. I'm talking on building dialogue among communities, CSOs and West African Power Pool, through prevention of electricity crimes in Nigeria. The issue now will be, is there an electricity crime? The lawyers, is there anything like electricity crime? Now, we are deceived by the distribution companies and their collaborators in government to talk about energy theft and vandalism as the only crimes in the sector. Whereas the distribution companies make trillions of naira off rural consumers every year in this country, and they are covered, aiding and abetting electricity crime by institutions of government. Today we are talking, Energy Commission is here. How many contracts were given on solar street poles, street lights, solar street lights in the past administrations, like Jonathan administration and Obasanjo? How many are working today? And most of those contracts were given by Energy Commission and some other units of government. The mini grids that Jonathan administration built, how many are functional today? Have you bought a solar lamp that didn't last for 1 month and it packed up? Has it happened? Eh?
Yes.
Now, much as we promote renewable energy, foundational work on preventing crime in that sector is needed. Mr. Mike has mentioned opportunities that exist. In Nigeria, opportunities exist in the electricity sector, but are we enjoying them? It's because of electricity crime. In Nigeria today, when we have government build industries like Michelin, Dunlop, Peugeot, Volkswagen, textile mills, when people began to loot those organizations, rather than look for solution, get the culprits and punish them, and reorganize the organizations to move forward. We say privatization, privatization. Today, we are in privatization. We are jettisoning Keynesian theory and embrace privatization, which has today impoverished us the more and promoted corruption beyond reach, made capitalism that lack conscience become the key thing in our economic programs and policies. I don't know if I'm making sense. Today, petroleum price, fuel price is so high because president said, let's remove subsidy. Some people are, who are the people taking that subsidy? Who has been punished? Who has been caught? We had an election, there was a glitch. Who caused the glitch? What was the glitch all about? Rather than find solution to our problems, we shift. If your child in the house is messing up, will you abandon the house and run another place and build another one? But what we do in Nigeria is to find the escape route, to start deviating from correcting ills that exist. That is what is happening in the power sector today. In my presentation here, as way of introduction, the main objective of this workshop is to identify the role West African Power Pools, CSOs, and communities could play collaboratively. It's not to enhance rapid expansion of clean energy and ensure that energy transition processes in West Africa are inclusive and transparent in delivering the expected outcomes to citizens. Our research and advocacy activities in the southern part of Nigeria have shown that electricity crime is a major hindrance and threat to the realization of the goals of the power sector privatization policy which Nigeria embraced since 2013. I just returned from Imo State and Akwa Ibom State. 17 communities in Akwa Ibom State were disconnected from supply in 2019. Port Harcourt Disco accused them of owing 50 billion naira. In Imo State, where I come from, no transformer has a meter. And meter on the transformer is the source through which you know the quantity of energy that is supplied to a place. This Port Harcourt Disco that disconnected these people between 2019 and 2025 last year, they were reconnected because of our intervention in October last year. We had to drag Port Harcourt Disco to Public Petitions Committee in the House of Reps. And they came there. As the matter was going on, they were instructed to go and connect electricity. They connected to about 12 communities, leaving 5 remaining. But as we speak today, the 12, they have reconnected them. And when investigation started, they saw that the transmission power had been vandalized long ago out of negligence. The distribution company does not monitor the lines. Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps that has the mandate of protecting critical national assets and infrastructure is not interested in going to the bush. Neither will the police go to the bush. So these communities were accused of owing money rather than correcting what got bad. And while the matter was on, they now accused them of owing them 80 million naira, no longer 50. Along the line, I became enemy to the committee. Along the line, suddenly the committee started attacking me. And then I had to take the matter back to the regulator because I'm giving an example for you to see how electricity crime is entrenched in this system. Now, the regulator While the matter was on, when they were called, Port Harcourt Disco ran to the regulator. Regulator listened to them and now wrote a letter validating the claims of Port Harcourt Disco without hearing from the consumers, and now submitted to the committee. As the consultants to the communities, we went there and the next person stood up. They asked me, I told them it's embarrassing for NEC, the regulator, to come here to defend a distribution company, service provider, against consumers they should serve, in violation of section 34(1)(f) of the Electricity Act 2023, that provides that regulation should be fair, balanced, and just to the consumer, the licensee, and the investor. I now ask the committee, where is justice here? Where is fairness and balance? This matter must be, the communities must be heard by the regulator, who has the technical competence to look into this matter. The regulator apologized and took up the matter. Along the line, we went to the regulator. They scheduled a meeting. Port Harcourt Disco bring evidence that between 2019 and 2023, there was light in these communities to justify the money you are asking for. They could not provide it. Meetings were held 2 times. 1st of June, 2nd of June, 3 hours. They were waiting for them to bring evidence. They couldn't bring. Now, since 2016, bulk billing has been abolished by the regulator. What does that mean? Section 29, subsection 6 of the Customer Protection Regulations provides that the only customer of a distribution company is the owner of a property who signed a form before light was connected to his building. So community doesn't have a building. Community is not a customer. So why will you not be giving bulk bill to communities rather than debulk them and give individual houses bills? Now, this is another argument. We now requested, where these people build in line with the regulation, provide the bills you gave them. They couldn't provide it. 80 million naira has been wiped away. We went to the community last week. We were there. The Port Harcourt Disco quickly said they were doing community reconciliation on that matter. They didn't know I would come. And then they had now gone to lobby NEC people to come and bamboozle the community. Unfortunately for them, I appeared in the scene. Ordinarily trying to enlighten the community during the session that, look, we are here because number one, we didn't see any meter on your transformer. So this claim is criminal extortion against you people. Number two, there is violation of the bulking policy which regulator made. They are culpable. Number three, no enlightenment. They are doing this one now because the matter is being judged by right. There's a section that says that the distribution company should carry out enlightenment to enlighten the consumers on the job of their customer complaints units. They don't do it. We brought out and then forced declaration, unlawful disconnection. The law says if you give a bill within 10 days, you cannot go to talk about disconnection. But what they are doing in the southeast, especially in Imo now, I've reported them to the police. They are being investigated now, Transpower. They will carry POS, no bill to you. Carry police or carry civil defense, carry ladder and come to you, no bill. They will just tell you, you have to pay 20,000. If you say how, they say we'll disconnect you. Before you open your eyes, they will climb up and disconnect you. And we have lawyers in this country. I called the NBA president. I said, what are you people doing? He said, have you done your research? Who told you we are not working on it? I put up the phone. Now, if it is a thing, highly political issues, you see them talking. Just like the Bible said in Matthew 23, that the pastors want to be called rabbi at the marketplace. They want to wear collar that is big. Meanwhile, they will point at the place, they won't enter themselves. That is what most of the leaders of the organizations are doing. They use their organizations to play to the gallery and get appropriate personal benefits at the detriment of their members. So I have just given you this narrative to give an example. of why we have now in those states, three communities, one of them is where he comes from. He is accused of owing 1.056 billion naira to Benin Disco. In December last year, 7 factories were shut down in Delta State, Asaba. It's the factories these are our Igbo brothers used to do the whole of December last year they didn't do business. Why? Because used to accuse them of bypass. Now, this bypass, was there any independent investigation? Did you report to the disco? No. Did you report to NEC? No. But the law again is so unjust. The regulation and the Electricity Act, it says if you have a complaint as a consumer, first report to the disco. After 15 working days, now come to the regulator. But if the disco have something against you, they don't report anywhere. They'll just punish you immediately. And it goes. And then the citizens are caged. As we speak now on Saturday, I'll be addressing press conference in this Abuja. What we have seen now is that the Minister for Power has inaugurated a committee to look into the implementation of the Electricity Act 2023 and improve the sector. No consumer group or representative is in that committee. The committee is all these government institutions that have been there, and these things are happening. And then ANIT, Association of Nigerian Distributors, we were in Lagos on the 8th of June. House of Reps ad hoc committee on power sector reform had a summit on power sector. I was invited to speak on consumer, and then ANIT was there. After my presentation, ANIT couldn't talk. When they called him up to come and explain on the things I raised, he was rather making noise. They warned him there. He couldn't say anything. But see our government giving them very good recognition against the consumers of the country. So what else are we saying? And you want us to be friends and talk good that government is talking well. When millions of Nigerian consumers, their future and their destiny, the small businesses in this country, the manufacturers that Mike said are going, they are not going away to set up grid because the on-grid is not good. It's the extortion that are going through, the frustration that are going through, that a manufacturer, how much do they pay? And in most cases, there is third-party investment policy, which entails that if you're buying transformer, pole or wire, you sign an agreement with the distribution company for reform. It is never done. And the regulator will keep quiet. What the distribution company will tell the people when they go is say, sign that you have donated it to us. And the moment you sign, it is their own. And then they are still the same people that energize it. Now, before energizing, why don't you tell these people that this is what the regulator said? The question now is, what is the regulator saying? In line with Section 119 of the Electricity Act, the regulator developed what they call Customer Protection Regulations 2023. It covers billing, metering, complaints handling, customer service standards. On customer service standards, it says if there is a complaint or a fault in the equipment of the disco and the consumer reports, within 24 hours, a staff should visit it and correct it. But that is not done. It is still funded by the same consumer who still pays you bill. Now look at it, you lawyers here. Discos are told that they are paid in order to recover the cost of their investment and make some profit. But the consumer buys infrastructure and doesn't recover the money. So the consumer is not worthy of recovering his investment, but the disco is worthy of recovering his investment from the same consumer. Where is justice? Section 17 of the Constitution talks about freedom, equity, and social justice. Section 34, subsection 1C, says no Nigerian should undergo torture, inhuman and degrading treatments. And all these are done to our citizens. And we are watching them. Legal Aid Council or whatever. What are you people saying? Section 15.5 says all manner of corrupt practices shall be abolished. But corrupt practices are perpetrated by institutions of state against Nigerian citizens who are the consumers of this electricity. And we watch. And then what do we see? In every discussion about electricity, you won't hear government. Why is it that in the Ministry of Power today, you have a department on distribution, generation, transmission, none for consumer protection? And these ones that they have departments for are part of the provisions in the Electricity Act. But consumer protection and licensing performance standard is in Section 119. So why is it that there is no unit to enforce this implementation? Is that not a cleverly designed attempt or design plan against Nigerian consumers? These are some of the issues here. So when they talk about community involvement, where will you get this information if you don't engage community people? In Imo State, no transformer has meter. Even as I speak now, Transpower, that is a subsidiary of Enugu Distribution Company, is not licensed by Imo State Electricity Regulatory Commission in violation of Section 42(1) of Imo State Electricity Law 2024 that says no entity should carry out electricity distribution service in that state without being licensed by the Imo State Electricity Regulatory Commission. And why have they not licensed them? There are 77 cases that consumers brought to the regulator. They sat over it, and the distribution company was there. At the end of the day, they ruled and told the distribution company to correct certain anomalies. They refused to correct them. And then they gave them penalty for non-compliance on abuse of market power that amounts to 769,560,000. They refused to pay. Yet they are going around the state collecting money. How do you justify this? As we speak now, there is this rep meter that is to be given to consumers free. How many states are getting it? In 2020, the CBN brought out, said they will provide 200 billion naira for national mass metering program. 56 billion was released. Enugu Disco got 5.6 billion out of that money. I can give you what each of the discos got because I was part of the consultants that handled it in the Banking Regulations Committee in the House of Reps. How many people got the meter? And we are here watching them. Then when they set these committees, NBA is not part of it. Consumers are not part of it. So we have a group of people whose intention is to hold us to ransom. The labor of the poor masses are taken over by a few rich. And then we watch them and say it's government. I don't see how I can be happy with that one. I don't. Because for me, it's slavery. This is the worst of colonialism in terms of electricity sector. And we allow it. And those of us that talk, they look at us like foolish people. No wahala. Now, I wrote petition against the Transpower on these issues to the governor and to the Commissioner of Police and Civil Defense Corps. The legal unit of Imo State Police Command has invited us and the regulator. The regulator confirmed we have not licensed them. These are our reasons. They wrote their statement, I did, but the distribution company didn't come. Now they went and wrote letter, they should tell those people to come and complain to them, let them resolve. They told them it's not that kind of issue, you need to come. We spent money and mobilized consumers in the state on the 6th of this month or so. And they came. We gathered their complaints and gave them to the police and civil defense, use it to look at them. So what am I trying to say? The more we look away from electricity crime and think the sector will work, or we look away from addressing electricity crime as it relates to clean energy and renewables, we'll be wasting time. Because the same, most of you talk about embedded generation. You talk about embedded generation, Abi. You talk about where the discos can share this thing with the renewable people. Renewable energy is part of our Electricity Act now. But the worst is, who enlightens consumers on renewable energy policies to make them know their rights and obligations? Is that done? People will say I'm talking, I'm not presenting the thing again. But let me conclude by this. I don't know if I'm making sense here. So I can't stand before lawyers and fail to raise this issue. I expect every lawyer in this room today to make a case wherever you belong. Let's interrogate electricity crime. Can we keep allowing this thing continue? And we claim we are rearranging the electricity sector. How can it work? Azikiwe said, what led to the fall of civilizations is the abuse of the people's rights. When you abuse the people's rights, there's imminent fall. And even in the Bible, those that oppress the poor never have peace. There's no peace for the wicked. And the wickedness against the poor electricity consumers in this country will never allow the sector to work. Because people are crying every day. Widows are crying. You can't tell me that a widow in my community using one bulb is made to pay 18 to 20,000 naira every month. What does that widow do to feed? How does that widow survive? In that community now, almost all the people that contributed money to buy pole, transformer, wire can no longer get the light because of the cost. They've disconnected themselves. It's only a few who were not even at home when these contributions were made, who now feel they are rich. They are the ones that, and then they connive with community leaders to share the money. Electricity committee, they share the money with them, and then the blowing breeze on the poor. The other day in my house, over 20 poor people came in my village to complain about this. And when you look at their faces, I believe that this sector will never progress unless this is addressed. It's true. You can't oppress the poor and think you will make it. It can't work. What is electricity? Understanding the concept of electricity crime, so that I won't say I'm talking out of context. Crime is a term that encompasses illegal acts in which someone can be punished by government. An example of crime is robbery, which means someone taking another person's item by force. It is an unlawful act considered as crime and punishable. Also, language dictionary defines crime as an action or omission that constitutes an offense and is punishable by law. It is also defined as an act or activity that is considered to be shameful, wrong, or mistaken. Crime is also an unlawful act or default which is an offense against the public and renders the person guilty of the act or default liable to legal punishment. On the other hand, illegal is a term for something forbidden by law. Other words related to it are unlicensed, illicit, illegitimate, unlawful, contrary to or forbidden by official rules, regulations, etc. The drug person that we pursue, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is pursuing cyber crime, but we are seeing the real criminals who are going to the bank with trillions of naira, and we cover them and make them look responsible. I told them in a Bible, I said, look, you should be in prison. You should shamefully get out. You should be in prison. I shouldn't sit there talking with criminals like you. Is it because the system somehow provides cover for you? That's why you can boldly stand where somebody like me that is struggling to live genuinely is and be defending rubbish. I don't know why. So, electricity service delivery carried out through generation, transmission, and distribution is guided by Electricity Act 2023 as amended, 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and regulations of Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission at the federal and state levels. These laws and policies developed to enhance their enforcement are to be obeyed by electricity supply industries. Hence, failure to obey or comply with the laws and policies amounts to unlawful electricity crimes in the nation's electricity sector. I don't know whether I'm correct. Am I correct, lawyers? Am I correct?
You are trying, sir.
No. And they also definition of electricity crime. By my own definition, electricity crime in Nigeria can be described as unlawful actions or practices carried out by players in the Nigeria's electricity supply industry in violation of the provisions of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Section 15, Section 17, and Section 34. I've mentioned them here. 15 subsection 5 is abolishing corrupt practices. It is being perpetrated. Section 17 is social objectives of state policy. Is being violated. Section 34 is on fundamental human rights. Issues of torture, inhuman and degrading treatment that are being violated. Electricity Act 2023, Section 119, Consumer Protection and Licensing Performance Standards. Section 209 and 211 is against electricity theft and sale of electricity, stolen electricity materials, which relates to even vandalism. Now, Section 217 is on false declaration. You are billed to pay as if you are in band A, but you get life for 4 hours. It's false declaration. And they are all punishable by law. And they are provided in the Electricity Act. Section 218 is offenses by companies, which legal luminary, even on pro bono, has taken up these companies to really obey these laws or these offences they are committing, to even review these sections of the Electricity Act. For instance, in 217, that first declaration, the punishment is only 100,000 naira or 2 months imprisonment. But if you go to 221, where if you fight a distribution company staff, your punishment is either 5 million naira and 6 years imprisonment. Where is justice in this? And we allow these things, we watch them. Now, should we not be talking of laws in clean energy without looking at this? How are we sure that when the clean energy thing comes, they will not perpetrate the same thing? Who even knows what the law provides in these ones? So, for us to move forward, this has to be addressed. Now, the regulatory policies of Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, I mentioned it before, Customer Protection Regulations 2023, at the national and state levels. Electricity crimes are illegal, shameful, and unlawful acts that affect proper delivery of electricity services, cause economic losses to the consumer, the licensee, generator, and government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It negatively affects social and economic progress, causes torture, inhuman and degrading treatment to citizens, abuses fundamental human rights and social justice in the country, as well as destroys the image of the country within the international community, because it leads to violation of United Nations covenants on economic, social, and cultural rights, as well as covenant on fundamental human rights. Electricity crimes cover the whole gamut of electricity theft, vandalism, unlawful billing of consumers, taking over electricity infrastructures provided by non-licensees to render electricity distribution services without third-party investment agreement, and refund of non-licensees who provided them, unlawful disconnection of electricity, failure to repair electricity faults that affect electricity distribution equipment in violation of customer service standards, bulk billing that promotes fraudulent billing of community instead of property owners who are the actual customers of electricity distribution companies in violation of section 29 subsection 6 of Customer Protection Regulations of NEC. Electricity crimes are perpetrated by different categories of stakeholders, among whom are electricity distribution companies, consumers, and installers. Hence, it has the various perspectives, ranging from electricity distribution companies' perspective, generation companies' perspective. Why is it that the generation company will tell you they generated 10,000 megawatts and you are told that what is available is 4,000 megawatts? Why? What happened in between? Why is it that the distribution company will give you bill and say that was what they supplied, and when you check between what they are telling you and what the transmission company that transmitted before they distributed has, they are different? Shouldn't we interrogate all that? Now, there is the transmission perspective, generation perspective, consumer billing and metering perspective. The hoteliers are suffering it more. Universities are suffering it. That's why they are now migrating to solar, because they have seen that the extortion is beyond the reach. They cannot meet up. And we are watching. Now, we have anti-crime agencies perspective, security agencies perspective, renewable energy perspective, to mention a few. The act flourishes because institutions of state with responsibilities to prevent crime, protect consumers, regulate electricity service delivery, monitor operations, prosecute and punish offenders, check and punish corrupt practices, economic and financial crimes, have not given the required attention towards prevention of electricity crimes. Most Nigerian electricity consumers argue that the inaction of institutions of government can be seen as aiding and abetting criminal actions perpetrated by electricity sector criminals because of gratification, which amounts to acts of corruption in violation of section 15 subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, which states that the state shall abolish all corrupt practices and abuse of power. Research has shown that this attitude of institutions of state on the issue of electricity crime, which is embarrassing citizens, is facilitated by deceptive and selective approach in dealing with electricity crimes, which focuses on electricity theft and vandalism without considering the larger part of the crime. Should we talk about electricity crime when discussing energy transition in Nigeria? Is it necessary to talk about it? That's a question some people will ask here. Energy transition is global energy sector shift from fossil-based systems of energy production and consumption, including oil, natural gas, and coal, to renewable energy sources like wind and solar, in order to achieve zero carbon emissions by 2050. What this means is that private renewable energy companies are emerging, and the Electricity Act 2023 as amended made provisions for renewable energy. These renewable energy companies and institutions of state saddled with responsibility of providing enabling environment and regulating their operations are Nigerians that have been involved in one way or the other in committing, aiding and abating electricity crimes in the country. Hence, serious effort should be put in place to checkmate the consequences of electricity crime on energy transition in Nigeria and West Africa in general. For example, we are now seeing solar energy lamps and other products in the market that lack quality and durability. Nigerian consumers are victims of such products, which they purchase without getting value for their money. These substandard solar panels there are substandard solar panels and unqualified installers all over the place, risking the life and investment of consumers. The past President Goodluck Jonathan's administration built mini grids to provide electricity to unserved areas in the country. National Assembly legislators embraced solar street lights and solar powered boreholes as constituency projects at the time. How many of them are working today? Why are they not working? We need to find out. As advocates of energy transition in West Africa, we should be concerned about not only promoting clean energy adoption, but crime-free energy transition that will really give consumers value for their money and satisfaction. This can be done through monitoring implementation of energy transition policies of West African countries. Research has shown that even if I stop now, they've gotten enough. They can even overstretching. If you want to help me to stop, I can stop. And people tired. The research has shown that electricity crime in Nigeria is a ₦1 trillion business, which is enough to make the perpetrators among electricity distribution companies and their allies frustrate energy transition efforts. I therefore propose an electricity crime prevention campaign in renewable energy sector should commence across West African sub-region with immediate effect, starting from Nigeria, if we hope to achieve the goal of successful energy transition. Most importantly, there should be aggressive renewable energy laws and policy enlightenment for state and community-based consumers to enable them understand their rights and obligations. The state institutions responsible for developing, maintaining and enforcing quality and standards, as well as the customs and security agencies, should be held accountable for influx of substandard renewable energy products and accessories finding their ways into Nigerian markets. Award of renewable energy contracts should be strictly monitored. These are my suggestions. Now, types of crime, perspective of electricity crime. Criminologists group crime into violent crime, property crime, white collar crime, organized crime, sexual or victimless crime, and cyber crime. One, violent crime. This involves force or the threat of force against others. Examples include homicide, assault, kidnapping, rape, and robbery. Electricity distribution companies commit violent crimes against consumers in a number of ways. One, most of the transformers in the rural areas have no meter fixed on them by discos. To ascertain the quantity of electricity supplied non-metered consumers in the areas and to determine the actual amount per kilowatt hour of electricity supplied upon which consumer is billed on an amount of money. This act is a violation of NEC policy that meters should be fixed on transformers to transparently determine the quantity of electricity upon which consumers without meters in their homes should pay. Yet, discos fix imaginary figures as bills. And being cautious of the fact that consumers may resist their exploitative and criminal tendency of demanding for unjustified money, take police or NSCDC officials to collect such illegal monies from services, for services not quantified and not supplied forcefully from consumers. This is violent crime of forceful electricity bill collection. This crime relates to Section 217 of Electricity Act as amended. I've already talked about that. Well, the other one is electricity violent crime of community billing and forceful collection of money. They come, if you don't pay what they tell you, they disconnect you. It could provoke people to fight them. That's why you hear people fight them in many places. But the institutions of state take advantage of the poverty they have created. The excruciating poverty that Nigerians are going through have made them unable to challenge these things in court. Made them unable because they are not even armed with these laws. So they are unable to even do anything. And then you see a government, when you mention this is where some government, they will just smile and look away. They know the truth. But they are getting a good job from it. It's corruption. Because for instance, in Abaibom, I was almost quarreling with the regulator. Because when they wiped away the 80 million naira, the disco now lobbied them and they came back and said, hey, but there are some outstanding before 2019 that the people need to pay. They need to consider that. I got mad. I told them it can never be discussed. That is not why we are here. They say, no, I'm making trouble. Why can't I cool down? Let them out. I said, what do you want to address? A criminal looks gentle. That's why the criminal banker wears suit and looks clean and robs you. And criminals operate in darkness. When you are not enlightened, they are kept in the ignorance. Criminals rob you. But if you are enlightened, that means you are beaming sunlight on them. And that's why they deliberately refuse to enlighten consumers. I refused. They insisted to discuss. I told the community traditional rulers they have to leave the hall. I told the people to leave the hall and abandon them. Let them come and bring the report in Abuja. Let us. When they continued, I told them, okay, I will take this to the commissioner of police and the governor. Let them invite you. They are security advisor to the governor. Let them invite you to come and explain how this came about. If you could not substantiate at the House of Reps, you could not substantiate at NEC, is that in the community? Where will you get the evidence of this? They said it's 47 million. And that means collecting the money again from back door. We will not agree. And that's why I'm a troublemaker where they are. But the question is, which lawyers are supporting people like me? Which lawyer renders pro bono to what I'm doing? Which lawyer is interested in this? Because donors are not funding me now. I'm not worthy to be supported. Because there's no money to be made. But if donor come tomorrow and show face, I'll be like those Nigerians who be washing toilet, who be struggling here. The moment you cross abroad and wash toilet and get dollar, you come back, bankers will be the first to visit you the next morning and tell you the kind of accounts they have. Me, I will pour water on them. Because you cannot help the poor, but you're taking advantage. Fair weather friends. My brothers and sisters, I think I should stop here. Thank you very much.